Hello, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to all my friends in the United States, all my American friends that are out there, which is probably most of you. It's Wednesday. It's 11:30 Eastern, November 26, 2025. And I'm going live. I usually do this only on Fridays, but I'm doing it today. And if you're just joining me, I would love to hear from you down in the chat. Just let me know where you're watching from and or your favorite Thanksgiving dish, whatever that might be. But we've got an interesting topic to talk about today, and one that I think will develop throughout the day. And if it does, as it does, I will definitely bring more content, more insight onto what's going on with a really interesting development that I didn't hear about any build up to. I didn't hear about any news breaking until today. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. But for the first time ever that I could see a sitting Secretary of Defense, which something else I learned, his actual title, Pete Hegseth, is Secretary of War. That's his actual title now. Some people said, oh, you're sensationalizing. I'm like, no, that's his title. Secretary of War is in the Dominican Republic as we speak today, or at least he's on his way down here, one or the other. I'm not sure. I fully expect, just like other visits like this with Marco Rubio and the former Secretary of State under Biden, whose name escapes me right now, for there to be some sort of press conference. He's meeting Hegseth with President Luis Abinader. I think I said that right for the first time ever. Abinader. Did I say it right? Let me know. And there will be, for sure, there will be something that comes out of this. I don't know what. What I did do this morning was spend a little bit of time kind of compiling information, because let me be clear here. I have zero expertise on like international relations between DR Venezuela, US Venezuela. I see what you see in the news, but I'm no expert on this. But still, my curiosity gets piqued. I want to learn about it, and then I want to jump on here and have a great conversation with all of you. So get ready. This is going to be interactive, but I'm going to share the 5 reasons for Pete Hegseth's visit that I could find, like official reasons, like not conjecture or maybe or whatever. And then we'll get into a little bit of conjecture, which is like, what are 5 things that maybe the DR seeks to take away from this visit, if anything at all, based on what the topics of this discussion are? I'll also give you what I believe is not going to be the case. Some people are getting really down the road on what this could mean, how it could what could happen, the DR's involvement with the whole Venezuela conflict. I'll give my take on what I think, but doesn't make me right. Doesn't make me right. Let's talk about the big news of the hour. And if you're just joining me in the chat, let me know where you're coming from and your favorite Thanksgiving dish. What is it? Is it stuffing? Is it turkey? Is it something else? We're getting pernil down here. We do a gringo Thanksgiving with some other friends that have lived in the United States, Dominican or otherwise. It's like 30 of us that get together. My wife ordered a full pig from Higüey, from a relative in Higüey that we're going to bring out and all of that good stuff. So let me know what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is. But here's the news of the day. Pentagon chief is visiting the Dominican Republic to strengthen defense ties. That's the official language from the Pentagon, essentially. But here's the 5 reasons I could really find that distill down why he's visiting. So number 1, to strengthen USDR security cooperation and intelligence sharing. So literally, hey, how do we align better on gathering and sharing intelligence between the two countries? Now, keep in mind again, he has not visited anywhere else other than Puerto Rico, right, in the Caribbean. He hasn't visited anywhere else. There is a diplomatic visit to Trinidad right now by, I forget his name, Cain, C-A-I-N-E. He's not a senator, but he's in the Joint Chiefs. That's more like, this is a cabinet member, Hegseth, coming to DR. This other guy, Cain, is more like a diplomat visiting Trinidad, probably just to exchange information, make sure they're clear on what's going on with all the warships in the Caribbean and everything else like that. But Hegseth is a big fish, and he's coming to the Dominican Republic. I see no other countries that he's scheduled to visit. It's not as if he's going around on a bunch of different visits here. And this is the day before Thanksgiving. Really interesting timing. So number 1, strengthen USDR security cooperation and intelligence sharing. Number 2, align DR publicly with the U.S. amid rising tensions with Venezuela. It's no secret that Abinader and the current administration of the Dominican Republic has not, will not support Maduro's presidency or Maduro's rule of Venezuela. And if you look at what both countries share, what they both don't want is unchecked immigration, people fleeing Venezuela, coming to DR, coming to the United States, and potentially, the language on that might be bringing certain elements that they don't want amongst some of these people fleeing, cartels, drugs, gang members, whatever, to either the Dominican shores or to the U.S. shores. So aligning the DR publicly with the U.S. amid rising tensions with Venezuela. And keep in mind, too, aligning the DR with the U.S., Venezuela is a hotbed for alignment with anti-U.S. forces, Iran, Russia, China, so on and so forth. It's the one country in the region, right? Like, why is the U.S. hell-bent on Venezuela and calling it a narco operation? I don't know, guys. But what I can tell you is Colombia has issues, Mexico has cartel issues, but their governments aren't defiant to the United States. So U.S. is flexing its muscle, obviously, in the Caribbean right now. So align the DR publicly. Number 3 reason for Hegseth's visit: support and expand U.S. military operations in the Caribbean under an anti-narcotics framing. Anti-narcotics framing. I had to have ChatGPT give me like good language for these reasons that I came up with, and so that was their framing. Support and expand U.S. military operations in the Caribbean under anti-narcotics framing. What I don't see, honestly, I do not see like bases being established in the Dominican Republic. I don't see that being the case. Maybe it is. I'm just telling you, I don't see that. I don't see the DR military mobilizing into Venezuela alongside the United States. I don't see that at all. What I do see when we talk about support and expand U.S. military operations is there some use of bases as needed, since it's very close in the region, a friendly country, politically stable. We're talking about DR, economically stable, growing, partners really well with the United States, tons of exports, imports with the United States. There's a lot of synergy between the U.S. and DR. Some people like that, some people don't, whatever. But the point is, support and expand U.S. military operations in the Caribbean under anti-narcotics framing, I think is really saying like, hey, Luis Abinader, you don't like what Venezuela's doing either, right? All right, we're going to do some stuff. Maybe it's only posturing. Maybe it's like showing military force to then go in diplomatically. Who knows? Who knows what the next steps are for the U.S.? But you're with us, right? And Abinader would say, absolutely, we're with you. And we'll get into what that could mean for DR here in just a second. Number 4 of my top 5 reasons for Hegseth's visit, or the top 5 reasons I could find: establish DR as the primary U.S. regional ally and strategic foothold. That to me is probably the most clear of all of these. Establish DR as the primary U.S. regional ally and strategic foothold. Let me be clear. Puerto Rico is the number 1, but that's a U.S. territory. We're talking about a non-U.S. entity, the Dominican Republic, being the primary U.S. regional ally and strategic foothold in the Caribbean for whatever operations, whether we like them, whether we don't like them, whether we agree with them, whether we don't agree with them, whatever operations the U.S. is fueling and funding and going after in the Caribbean, bombing boats, going after Venezuela. I heard the largest aircraft carrier in the world was just pretty much parked off the coast of Venezuela by the United States. All of that, the DR is saying, hey, we will be your primary ally in the region. Again, some people may like that, some people may not. I'll give my thoughts later as we go through this. By the way, I see over here people saying smash the like. If you guys do that, it gets more reach. I appreciate the support. You know, I create content because I enjoy it, but it's nice to get reach. So if you hit the like button, drop comments, where you're watching from, favorite Thanksgiving thing, all of that fuels the algorithm to get this out there more. So far, real quick recap before I give number 5 of the top 5 reasons for Hegseth's visit. If you're just joining: strengthen U.S. DR security cooperation and intelligence sharing. Number 2, align the DR publicly with the U.S. amid rising tensions with Venezuela. Clear signal that China, Iran, all countries Venezuela is aligned with. 3, support and expand U.S. military operations in the Caribbean under an anti-narcotics framing. Again, I don't think at all it means bases in DR. I don't think at all it means DR gets involved in the conflict. But hey, you need some logistical support. You need some intelligence. You need some bases to post up for a minute while you fuel operations. All of that can be done in the DR. That's what I think that is. Number 4, establish DR as the primary U.S. regional ally and strategic foothold. It's an opportunity, whether we like it or not, for DR to come in and be the one country in the region that's not a U.S. territory, to be like, hey, we're with you, U.S. And I don't know if it were Colombia or Mexico, if there would be a need for DR or if DR would align. But DR doesn't like Venezuela either. At least the government of DR doesn't like the government of Venezuela either. That's not about the people. I always say that about DR. What I love about it here is we're not left-right politically. I guarantee you when I dip in to the comments here, you're going to see some people that are saying this guy's a piece of crap, right-wing Trumper. And then other people are going to be either attacking that person or saying the exact opposite. Like, MAGA, baby, this is the best thing. That's a U.S. thing. Here, it's the people, the government. That's where your divide is. People are aligned. Like, we don't trust that government, nor should they. I don't mean just DR. I think any government shouldn't be trusted. But the DR government and the Venezuelan government are not aligned. And to be honest with you, I'm on the side of DR on that personally. But we'll get into that. Number 5, coordinate regional stability efforts related to transnational crime and maritime trafficking. I guess that as I read that now, it kind of goes with the other 4. So in general, the reasons for his visit are really to say, all right, DR, here's the deal. We're putting pressure on Venezuela for many different reasons. Some we'll hear about publicly and they'll sound really good. Others will be behind closed doors. Are you with us? We need some intelligence gathering. We need a spot that we can kind of, in between here and there that we know we've got some support. We need some logistical things thrown our way. We need support in the region, and you're our best partner. You're stable. We're already trade partners, all of that stuff. So those are the reasons. Now, I think there are 5 potential things that the DR gets in return for their support. And this is where I want your feedback, your thoughts. Do these make sense? Do they not? Do you think it's realistic? Do you not? What I can tell you is when things like this happen, again, I do research on all this stuff. Typically, when the U.S. solicits the support of another nation in conflict with whoever the U.S. is in conflict with, there's usually in exchange for what the U.S. wants, there's usually some sort of give back, something that the country that like in this case, the Dominican Republic will either ask for or get. And I do believe that in the near future, today, that we will see, there's nothing official about this, but we will see a press conference between Abinader and Hegseth. And if that happens, I'll do a quick rally. I'll highlight the key points and I'll drop a video on YouTube. I'll get my editor in there and we'll get it all out well before the Thanksgiving holiday, meaning later today, later tonight. So stay tuned to YouTube. And again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I've got all these little gadgets I could click on here. If you're loving the content and you want to support a little bit more. So here's what I think DR asks for in return. Number 1 is going to be U.S. assistance, concrete support for the Haiti crisis. This could mean funding. This could mean pressure on the security forces that are already in place, specifically through the UN. It could mean a lot of different things. But number 1 that came to mind for me, if I'm the Dominican Republic and I say, hey, we're going to open up our intelligence gathering. We're going to open up our national military and give you access, United States. But we need help with this huge crisis at the border that we have. We've been fending it off. We've been asking for support. We've been shouting at UN meetings, but nothing's happening. So that is something that I believe would be the number 1 ask. I'm curious what all of you think. Drop it down in the comments if you think that's the number 1 ask. Second, increase security aid, equipment, and technology for maritime and border protection. So does DR go beyond that and say, hey, if we get sort of like this overall protection around us, like you're bombing boats, the U.S. in our neighborhood here, if we get increased maritime and other border protection, we can deal with Haiti with that. So it might be that kind of a broader defense, if you will, for the country. Number 3 to me is interesting. And again, I'm coming up with these guys. Like, what could it be? I'm researching and see it. Like, number 3 is interesting. Is it preferential treatment in trade, tariffs, or nearshoring manufacturing commitments? So I know recently that, first of all, the Dominican Republic is one of the countries that only has the 10% reciprocal tariff placed on it. There are many countries that every country has 10% and then some have more. DR is only 10%, which speaks to the cooperative nature of U.S.-DR relations, right? So that's good. And then recently, Trump sunset tariffs on certain products. I read about it. I can't remember exactly what it was. I don't want to even speculate, but it might have been like coffee or bananas and stuff like that DR exports, which is a win for those specific industries in DR that are exporting those things. Trump retired tariffs on certain things, not even 10%, not just here, but around the world. And DR benefited from that in many ways. But does now the DR say, hey, look, we'll do all of this. Our GDP growth is lower than what we expected, projected 5% at the beginning of the year, probably going to come in more like 3.5%, still growth, but not as robust. We're investing a ton into our infrastructure here in country. And guys, I know just driving up to Jarabacoa recently and being in Punta Cana, holy crap, the amount of construction and like completeness of construction. Turístico del Este is completely lighted now, like 150, 200 light poles, all lighted. The pass over there in Jarabacoa, that navigation through the mountains, all that blasting and the roads, it's insane what I'm seeing from an infrastructure perspective. So does DR say what we could use as a break, like remove tariffs from us, all tariffs, so that we're not tasked with the 10%? So I don't know. Maybe that's something that they go after. I think that's lower on the priority list than Haiti and other defense sort of border protection asks that they may make, but that's one. 4 is stronger U.S. backing for tourism, safety, advisory, and infrastructure. What this to me means is, hey, you know how you have us as a level 2 advisory, and then you publicize the hell out of that back in June and made it seem like that was something new. And then people like me went on and said, guys, it's been a level 2 advisory forever. And it's the same advisory that is in Italy and England and everything else. How about you tell your State Department to back that down to a level 1 advisory and then communicate that just as broadly as you did the level 2 advisory? Maybe that's something that they ask for. Maybe that's a priority. Like, listen, lower the advisory. We know it'll fuel tourism even more, and that helps us with our GDP. Then we can fund all these other things. So that's a potential ask. And then lastly, investment or cooperation agreements that elevate DR's geopolitical and economic role in the region. This gets into semiconductor. This gets into what you need for semiconductors, which is stable electric and investment in that sector. These are all the potential things that DR could ask for. And I don't know if they get any. I don't know if a country like the United States coming into DR says, hey, we need you to help us. And DR goes, hey, great. In exchange, will you do this? And they're like, no, you don't understand. We need you to help us. If you don't, it gets worse, but we're not giving you anything for the help. Like, we expect you to help, period. Maybe that's the posture. I don't know. So those are the different things that I saw in terms of potential that DR gets from this visit from Pete Hegseth. And we'll see. We'll see later on. I mean, there's so many other things out there that we could be talking about. There's rare earths, which it feels like is already established. Rare earth mining in DR is already created around an entity, an SRL that the DR owns, and the U.S. is already ready to buy rare earths from the Dominican Republic. So that's already there. Maybe there's something more to it. Is it expansion on the free trade zones? Again, is it a reduction of tariffs? I think Haiti's the play, especially if all the rhetoric we've seen from Abinader and his organization or his cabinet and what they've said about we need help with Haiti. If that's all true, I think that's the big ask, but we'll see. The other thing I was going to bring up for all of you, let me pull up the stage here. No. I got to do this. Oh, how does this work? Do I go here? Hold on one sec, guys. I'm going to bring up one more thing. Let me remove stop screen, and then let me add this. I got to get like a second laptop or a producer or something to do all this stuff for me. Is on the other end, I was kind of curious, like, what's going on with Venezuela? What are they doing? And the most recent articles I've seen, I just pulled this one up, like Newsweek. I don't know anything about Newsweek. Defiant Maduro rallies Venezuela for U.S. war. And what it's essentially saying is, oops, wait a minute. Sorry, I didn't add it to stage. Here we go. I'll roll this back down. Defiant Maduro rallies Venezuela for U.S. war. And what it's essentially saying in this article is he's got like sword drawn, really out there saying we will not allow the U.S., the imperials, to come in and take our country and so on and so forth. It says here, rallying tens of thousands of supporters across Caracas as he framed the moment as a historic battle for national survival. Brandishing a sword and dressed in camouflage fatigues, Maduro said we must be ready to defend every inch of this blessed land from imperialist threat or aggression, no matter where it comes from. So Maduro's, he's gearing up for conflict. Whether it happens, whether it doesn't, I don't know. I dropped a post on Instagram, and the response to it so far, as far as Hegseth's visit, what do we think? The number one response is he wants Mama Juana. That's what I love about Dominicans. They're funny as hell. That's a funny ass response. And then other people are getting really like, oh, this is the greatest thing. And other people are like, this is awful. And I know we're going to have some of that in the comments, but the Mama Juana thing, I think is really good. That's my take. I'd love to get yours. I'd love to see what you guys are all thinking here so we can have a conversation about it. Again, I'm not an expert. I said that at the jump. Don't claim to be. I don't know. I'm not a geopolitical analyst. I just know that I spend more time maybe than some on what's going on here in the DR around, real estate, investing, financials, the economy. And in this case, big visit. Never, ever, ever before has a Secretary of War / Secretary of Defense visited the Caribbean, a Caribbean nation, on a diplomatic visit. Maybe they've been there like to visit, but like a diplomatic visit at this level in a time like this, I don't see any history of that anywhere ever. And I don't see Hegseth, a guy at that level, going anywhere else right now. Maybe that changes. Who knows? Maybe he goes and visits other nations down here. Maybe he does go to Colombia. I don't know. But right now it's DR, and we're going to see today what kind of comes of that. So first off, I want to thank Crypto Surge here. Smash your likes for Jamie. It is appreciated. If you hit the like button, again, this gives it reach, and all of your comments are really, really appreciated. But let me see what you guys are all saying here. So we have user something. you're right. Something big is moving with DR and Venezuela's operation. Yeah, we'll see. I don't see DR getting involved in the conflict. I don't see bases being established in DR by the United States government, but I do see a logistics support spot, intelligence support happening here. Yeah, this person, so what, Regina? Oh, that's a great handle. I mentioned before a Joint Chiefs person, not at the level of a Hegseth, so there's a difference, but they are in Trinidad today as well, but not on the same level of visit. Hegseth coming is, I mean, what is he, top 4? You got the president, the vice president, Marco Rubio. He might be like the next guy, right? Like I don't know what it is in the presidential pecking order, but I mean like order of importance for the United States. Like he's a top 5 dude. Like that's a big visit to this country, which is why I'm doing this kind of pop-up live and everything. But the person that went to Trinidad is a member of the Joint Chiefs, but not a cabinet member. So my reading on Trinidad, why they're there, is more like, hey, you're close. We want to let you know what we're doing. Be clear on this. Don't worry, that kind of thing. Whereas Hegseth's visit here seems to be, like, let's forge some agreements on what we're doing and how you can support us, Dominican Republic, which is a big deal. Let's see what this comment is. Let's see. I just hope we don't end up being the proxy for the next war. The U.S. has Puerto Rico. They should launch any Operation Puerto Rico and not from DR. Yeah, that's a great point. I don't see that. I don't see us being DR being a proxy for the next war. Puerto Rico definitely is a bigger player here because it is a U.S. territory, obviously, in the Caribbean. But yeah, I understand the concern with that. That's probably when people think about, what's the biggest concern with all this? Like, are we about to get, meaning the Dominican Republic, embroiled in this conflict? Are we going to be standing alongside? Are we going to be, like the Ukraine for the United States with Russia? I don't think that's going to happen. I think the U.S. is going to do what they do militarily, whether they do something or not. I don't think they're looking to like fund DR to send its people in. I don't think the Dominican Republic would agree to that either. Look, we can think what we think about the United States. We can think what we think about Trump, but to come in here in a country like the Dominican Republic that's developing, that's creating a lot of value for the United States, and knowing its weakness with Haiti, like already stretched, right? I don't see the United States saying, well, obviously you should go in and be the proxy for us in Venezuela. I don't see that happening. I just don't think that's reasonable. And you could think Trump's not reasonable, whatever, but I think even on that, if you're the biggest Trump hater, you can agree like that wouldn't be a reasonable response. Sergei Lavrov, Russian foreign minister, was in DR this past April. Lots of attention for DR, and I believe some kind of deal, Cuba, Venezuela, Ukraine, in my opinion. Interesting, Jorge. Yeah, he was. Russia did make a diplomatic visit. Russian tourism has picked up a little bit more recently than it had been. It had been like 300,000 visitors a year. Through the war, it got down to like 60,000 visitors a year, and I believe that's on the upswing right now, everything that I've seen. Let's see, what do we have here from user? I think it's the same person. He might be securing a visit to a Dominican port by maybe United States forces. We shall see. Let's see what else we got here. Willow says, unfortunately, watching from Chicago. Willow, what's wrong with Chicago? Chicago's a great city. Gets so much bad press. And I've even said it, like, look what's happening in Chicago. There's some bad things this past week, all the teen riots and the shootings. I mean, I hate seeing that. But Chicago is probably my second favorite city in the United States. Boston, number 1. Chicago, number 2. New York is probably number 3. And then we get out to the West Coast, some of those cities out there. Let's see. Just remember, per Donald Trump, Cuba might also be a target. I haven't seen that. That's interesting. But I don't doubt that he said that, because he says a lot of things. You guys hear what he said about I mean, I'm laughing as like a guy, but not laughing as an American, I guess. But what he said about the governor of Illinois speaking of Chicago, oh my God. It was like, if he's a comedian, it was awesome. But he's not. He's a president of the United States. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's no statesliness with that stuff. So, but hey, for you, Big Will, Trump could do no wrong. It sounds like it's, yeah, I guess that's the case. I'm all in if these are lawful orders. Of course, I would not want the DR to be an accomplice. I think is what you're saying there. No, neither would I. Hey, Jamie, I met Pete Hegseth at the JFK airport before he was appointed. He is a patriot. I like DR aligning with the right after the rather than socialist agenda. Look, I said I'll share my thoughts, and here's what I would share. I do not support Maduro, Venezuela, what's happening. I mean, I support the country, but not the government there. I do think DR is on the right side of this. I don't mean going to war with Venezuela, but on the right side of, do we align with the U.S. or Venezuela? We align with the U.S. 100%. I do believe Hegseth is a patriot. This guy fought in the war. I don't care what your political position is. I don't care what your as an elected official, if you ended up being a Democrat or Republican, if you served in the U.S. military and served, some people are gonna be like, "Wow, did you hear about this?" It doesn't matter. He's cheated on women, on his wives. I think that's a terrible thing. But as a soldier and as a patriot, I completely agree. I don't discount that at all. I think that of anybody who served in the U.S. forces. Who was what's his name? The last vice presidential candidate for Kamala. I think he served. He ended up not being the best candidate. However, if he served in the U.S. military, wholly would shake his hand and say thank you to him. So I agree with everything you're saying, Juan, for sure. We got here. Rafem 3068, another MAGA stooge. It is sad that MAGA is running the USA. Whether people support or don't support Maduro, I understand most of the region agrees Latin America should not be the playground of the United States. I don't disagree, Raf. I completely agree with that. And I think the boat bombings, they need more transparency, way more. It's just like there was drugs, we hit them. Where? There was. Trust us. Again, I don't trust any government. I don't care if you're MAGA, if you're woke. I don't care if you're, the PRM or anything else. I trust no government. That's just me. I've never been a guy that sees this is the right government and this is the wrong government. They're all right and wrong in many different ways. And again, one of the reasons I love the political environment in DR is it's the people aligned not against, but in distrust of government. I like that way better than the United States, which is I'm on the left, I don't trust the right. I'm on the right, I don't trust the left. That just blows my mind to see a divided populace standing on each side of an aisle under a guy or gal that are all friends. They're all friends. I watched, if you guys remember Jim Brewer, he was a comedian, Saturday Night Live guy, and he's done some political punditry recently. I think he's funny as hell. He's a great storyteller. Goat Boy from Saturday Night Live, if you guys remember him. Hit the comments if you remember Goat Boy. Just put Goat Boy. But he was on something recently. He goes, man, I got awakened when I saw political candidate A back in his SNL days telling us how evil we should be against this person, using terms like fascist, and political candidate B reciprocating with that. He goes, but then I saw them having a drink together. I would see these people all the time, going to the party, hanging out. But we all sit out here saying MAGA stooge. That's the only thing, Raph. I don't like the labeling of left and right. I just don't like it. It doesn't, you're literally playing into the powers that be, into their way of wanting us to operate, which is they're the evil one. They're the evil one. Did you guys see Mamdani in the White House? Are you kidding? I think it's great. I think there should be diplomacy between left and right. Mamdani literally called Trump every name in the book, including Hitler. What was it? Turn up the volume. Trump had terrible things to say about Mamdani, and now they're in the White House together. I mean, if you listen to the rhetoric between these two, there's no way they should be in the same room. But there they are, having a time. That's what Jim Brewer was talking about. This left-right thing, it just blows my mind. And honestly, and this is I'll stand above it in this way. I'm going to rise above it and be better than in this way. When you leave the country, the United States, for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you re-enter, that divisiveness, you don't feel it when you're there. You're just always in the pressure of it. You're always in it, right? So you don't feel it. The moment you step out and take a break and you live in a society where we can just talk, we can have a conversation about whatever, and it's just a conversation. It's not you're bad, I'm good. The moment that happens and you go back in, you can feel the pressure. I remember when we went back after year one here, my wife hadn't left. I don't think she went back at all to the U.S. in that first year, nor did my kids. I did because I would travel. We stepped back into the U.S. We were at the Atlanta airport, and my wife, there were conversations around us, the TV. My wife was like, "Oh, it was like being kicked in the stomach or the balls." Honestly, that divisiveness, you can't really feel until you step outside. Same with school shootings. People get on here when I say, man, why do I feel safer here? There's no mass shootings. They're like, that's so rare. Rare? Mass and school shootings happen literally every day. The news is just numb to it. And so therefore we as Americans are numb. Then you step outside and you notice the absence of it, and you look back into the US and you're like, wow, how did I live in that? I lived in Brighton, Michigan, Oxford, Michigan shooting, Holly, Michigan. A guy ran into a church, lit it on fire and shot people. That was 3 months ago. Michigan State shooting was over here. And there was another one. Oh, a splash pad shooting in Rochester Hills. That's all within like 40 minutes of where I lived in the last few years. Like, holy cow, that's a war zone. How did I survive in that? But again, you don't see it until you step out of the country. So anybody that's left the US, that's living abroad, DR, anywhere, that gets that, I would love validation. If you don't get it, you don't get it. I don't need you to, but I would love to hear you say, yeah, no, I completely get that. This left-right thing, man, I think it's so dangerous. Let's see what else we got here. Hector says, great news and great informative. Gracias, amigo. Oh, you're quite welcome. U.S. wants military bases in DR. I don't agree though, Edward. I don't see that. You may be right. You maybe end up being right. I have no idea. I mean, I'm not in these rooms. I don't know anything. I just don't see that. I don't see that. Let's see what we got here. User, you got a lot of comments. I appreciate all the comments for user OW5B. Great to have your name. I could say that instead of all that. Haiti's going to need more than just money and a police. Haiti will need social engineering in a major scale. Unfortunately, nobody knows or cares to learn. I think that's how to do that. It's a fair comment. It's going to need a lot. It's not just like go in, kill the gangs, and it's all done and everything's great. I agree. There's going to need Haiti needs a lot. J1 Power says, I do not trust this USA administration and this Secretary of War. Yeah, no trust at all. Listen, man, I get it. Or lady, man, I think it's a guy. I think I see the image. The implication I get is that there is an administration that you do trust, and that's where you and I would depart. Because I don't trust Biden. I don't trust Trump. I didn't trust Bush. I didn't trust Clinton. I didn't trust Obama. Like, please, they all say what they need to say to get your vote, and then they do nothing to the level of what people want. I'm not expecting much, but any assistance from the U.S. with the semiconductor industry or the electrical grid would be appreciated. Albert, really, really well said. Papa Penguin pontificates with a morning, y'all. I love it. Let's see what else we got. I bet Maduro's villa will be confiscated if it is not done yet. The one here, it's user OW again. The one here, I saw this news a while ago, guys. Was it Cap Cana? Somebody knows. There was one here that was confiscated, and his plane too was confiscated here in the Dominican Republic. So again, U.S. DR has already shown that they are aligned with the United States on this. So this isn't like a giant leap that Hegseth coming down here is going to get anything other than support. Let's see what else we got. It's a little problem with Chinese in Venezuela. China already have soldiers in Venezuela territory and could be little problems with the United States. There you go. I appreciate that, Hector. It's good perspective. Let's see. Jamie, U.S. has a long history of interventionism along with you. Oh, 100%. U.S. business companies influencing politics. We can't ignore all this history and current events. Not ignoring it at all. Of course, there's suspicion. Look, man, like there is zero. Again, I go back to, I'm not saying we should trust it or that we shouldn't trust it. I am. I don't trust anything. You're absolutely right. Long history of interventionism. I mean, even here, you go back to the Trujillo days, right? Ton of intervention the U.S. has had in other places, and it doesn't always end up well. Gaddafi being taken out, like that country went nuts. Saddam Hussein, it's not good. In this case, what I'm hoping is what I think is that DR is not being recruited to get involved, but DR is being recruited for like logistical and political support. Humor ends all war. Mama Juana is correct. That's the answer. Exactly, Dan. I appreciate that. Speaking as an American, I hope DR remembers there is no free lunch. Everything comes at a cost. Papa Penguin, you're not wrong about that. You're not wrong. Let's see. Natalie. I mean, that Maduro's. Oh, I didn't see the first part of Natalie's comment. Maduro's brandishing a sword and rallying people to defend the Patria is all posturing. A lot of people at this demonstration under constraint. Yes, that's true. I read a lot of articles about the college students that were out there rallying on behalf of Maduro and the government. He's dancing or whatever the heck he's doing. I read a lot of like both sides, left, right, you name it, in the United States, confirming that there is obvious pressure on these college students to go out there and show this, like support to the world. Like, look, everything's great here. Everything's great here. Papa Penguin says, I'm betting Hegseth is in DR talking about Haiti. There is a PMC operating in Haiti with the tacit approval of the U.S. government. Maybe. Let's see what else we got here. Drop comments. We got Pedro. Good to see you, buddy. Strong border secure for NVIDIA and their superconductor investment. Maybe. I think Maduro's days are numbered, says Joseph, and the DR will be a crucial player, probably intelligence-wise. That's kind of where I am, but we're going to see what they talk about today. It'll be interesting. It's all political when they speak. It's not like they go like, all right, here's the scoop. Here's the real deal. But, we can try to extract out of it some meaning, if you will. or at least like, oh, that's interesting that they didn't say this, or that they did say that, or that they used this word. So if there's a press conference later today, I'll grab it. I'll jump on and I'll do a video on it, highlighting the key points of that from my perspective anyway. So hopefully that's helpful for all of you. Let's see what else we got here. Let's go down here. What is this one? Most Big Will says, most Dominicans I know love Trump. It's interesting. I'll say this. I got a message from somebody when I was, on election night. I'm here. Obviously, election's happening there. And it was somebody that follows me on Instagram in New York, in Washington Heights. And he said, hey, he messaged me. He's like, hey, man, I think this is awesome. I'm here watching one of your videos. And in a line next to me, up ahead a little bit, I see another voter watching one of your videos. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I said, like, what's the posture there? Like, what's the feeling politically? And this guy said, it's all one-sided. And I'm like, okay. Do I have to ask, like, which way is it one-sided? But I did. And he said, it's all Trump. His perspective. I do know that, I mean, you saw the stats, right? More than ever before, Latin Americans fell for Trump, or went for Trump this time, fell with the Trump side, I should say. Didn't fall for Trump. That's might be a Freudian slip. Went with Trump this time, but not like every Latin American, but I know that there was much more support for Trump this go around. And to be honest with you, I think the reason for that was he was who was available. He was saying something. You know what won it, in my opinion, was she's for they, them, we're for you, or something like that. Like, that ad was brilliant, just from a marketing perspective, brilliant by the Trump administration. In the tenure of a Ulysses Grant, DR got to be a U.S. protectorate. Only a strong racist orientation of the Democrats prevent it from happening. Interesting take. Here we go. We've got Raph. Many Dominicans are also against Trump. Very true. It goes both ways. It goes both ways for sure. Luis says, manufacturing consent, the U.S. needs to pretend that it is not about the oil, and other nations are also concerning. You know what's so interesting about the oil thing, especially with the this is just I'm just thinking out loud here. I completely agree. Like, where there's oil, it seems like there's conflict, right? Like, oh, we got to go in and save these people, and they have oil, right? So you can't ignore the Venezuelan oil thing. But with an administration, in the Trump administration, along with both houses of Congress being on his side, MAGA, right, whatever. I mean, I don't know if you guys, but like, the North American continent, US, Canada, Mexico, are 100% combined, are 100% energy and food independent. Like, if the US, Canada, Mexico just said, hey, let's just make our stuff here and not ship it anywhere else, like, more than enough of all of it. So the oil thing, I don't disagree with, but I do wonder, like, is it that, I mean, on the surface, it's about the narco trafficking, maybe. I think if there's a deeper thing, it's like, this is like anti-China more than anything. That's my take. Because I think if Trump wants to drill, he'll drill. And there's more than enough oil in the United States. I mean, again, that's just a YouTuber's take. I'm not at all a geopolitical expert. So thoughts on that, I'll take it. But like, the oil thing, yes, I would never discount that. But at the same time, the whole drill baby drill thing, like, there's so much oil in the North American corridor that you don't need Venezuela, you don't need the Middle East, but this whole worldwide trade, obviously, we send barrels overseas and we buy barrels. It's crazy to me. It's just like, if you have enough to make for yourself, like, make it for yourself. But anyway, I know there's more to it than that. That's a very oversimplified version, but figured I'd just share where my brain goes with that. The Dominican Dream says, I don't think mainland US, will use PR for much. Geographically, DR seems to be more convenient, but as far as should the DR be involved or not, we don't have a choice, bro. Let's be real. Yeah, no. Again, I completely agree. That's why, you're speaking the truth. I said before, like, here's 5 things that DR could ask for in return. And I'm sure, publicly, they might be like, we're going to support more. And then we'll see if they actually do. But behind the scenes, can Hegseth just say to Abinader, like, look, we need this from you, and this from you. And the president, Luis Abinader, I always say his name wrong. I got made fun of by a merengue guy here. He's like, dude, I hear you. And I always laugh at how you say his name, but whatever. Abinader. He might be like, great, Mr. Hegseth, we'd like this, and this. And Hegseth might go, yeah, that's nice. We'll say that we're going to help with that. But listen, you don't really have much of a choice. So you're going to do this, or we could increase your tariffs. We could take away certain levels of support. We could tell the UN, like, don't do anything in Haiti right now, right? So, like, the U.S. holds all the cards. That's the point Dominican Dream is making. Like, they could just say, we're going to get what we want from you. If we don't, then we can make it worse for you, but we're not going to go out of our way to make it better for you. And for many of us, that might be what we believe. Like, that's exactly it. It's exactly what's going to happen. We'll see. I do think the U.S. has interest in supporting DR from a standpoint of nearshoring elements of the semiconductor industry. Not all of it. Maybe the higher end stuff is done in the United States, but the blocking and tackling on semiconductors is going to be done here. I went to a free trade zone opening. I mean, some really important people, including members of government here that know what they're talking about. Like, it's more a when, not if, on that industry, especially at the Punta Cana logistics plant, it seems like. So there's definitely value the U.S. gets from DR. So I think they'd give something, but it is possible that, yeah, they could just be like, on this, you're not getting anything. We just need to know you're with us, or we can make it worse for you. So we'll see. We shall see. RAFM says social democracy and liberal nations that have good quality of living and the top in the world are labeled radical socialist by people like Trump and MAGA. Please understand how other nations run. It's not untrue. That's definitely how they're labeled, but we shall see. Every country has its issues for sure. I'm not sold on some of the countries people reference, like the and especially like when you look at size and scale of those countries, like what is it, Norway? Like everybody there kind of, there's like the societal culture there is compliance with, right? So they can get away with more of that socialist democratic posture. The U.S. is a big, diverse country, many cultures within it. It's a hard comparison, in my opinion, to make, but I get the point for 100%. Oh, did I just get rid of a comment? PRM party is an ultra-left party who is aligned with the Democrats. Agenda 2030 from the UN, pro-abortion, pro-open borders, pro-Haitian, corruption, and drug trafficking in high scale. Yeah, maybe. I'm not going to sit here and say yes or no to that. I honestly, I don't have enough history on it. Yanira says, believe me, Colombia has 7 military bases. If they wanted to get rid of narcotics, that they focus, then they are focused on the wrong country. Yeah, I get that. But to that point, I think the Colombian government has not yet become like an enemy of the state. They haven't gotten into bed with some of the other non-U.S. ally countries like China. So I think, honestly, my first thought was, okay, Venezuela. Yeah, okay, Maduro trafficking, but like it's coming from Colombia and Mexico, right? So like, is this just the beginning? But Mexico and Colombia have not, defied the U.S. to the level that Venezuela has. So that's where the attention is going. What else we got here? Let's see what else we have. Papa Penguin responds to the Dominican Dream. They're basically reopening Roosevelt Roads and PR for operations. I'm betting the visit in DR has to do with Vectis Global operating in Haiti. Papa Penguin's got some behind the scenes stuff, man. It's going crazy. I'm assuming Papa is a guy, but we shall see. We have Yanira saying they're probably looking to put U.S. bases in DR. A couple people have said that. I don't agree. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but we'll see. That's what this is. Like I get the screen, but I'm opening this up. I gave you my thoughts and I want to hear all of your thoughts. I don't agree with that, but that doesn't make you wrong. It could absolutely be the outcome that happens. Let's see what else we got here. Lots of comments today. We got one from Locotario Talk. How about the U.S. minds its own P's and Q's for once? DR has its own problems, specifically drug problems. So DR can also mind its own P's and Q's. Exactly. I don't know what the exactly is, but here's my take on that. When you're the sole superpower in the world, it's hard to mind your P's and Q's. Like, and look, here's on the positive side. If the U.S. minded its P's and Q's, Gaza, Israel would still be going on. Even Hillary came out and applauded the current administration for that. Like, you can't. People who say if Trump did, it's bad. I don't understand that. And people who say if Biden did, it's bad. Jeffrey Dahmer opened the door for an old lady at some point in his life, right? Like, even the most evil human beings in the world had moments of good in them. That was a moment of good. So the U.S. minding its own P's and Q's, that's really hard. That's like, again, as a superpower, I don't know how that's possible. You can't just, I guess you can, but I can't imagine how you can just like, we're not going anywhere. We're going to stay right here. I mean, if you're not out there doing these things, if you're not flexing a bit when you are the superpower, then you risk becoming a victim of the rest of the world, because plenty want to take the U.S. down. That's my take. Let's see. I like this. User OW says, sorry about my typing. Your typing is great. Old soldier here. Thank you for your service. Truly. Know more about triggers than keyboard. That should be your signature. I'm user OW. I know more about triggers than keyboards. That's amazing. Here we go. Now we got the right left thing, right? Jamie, you're a Trump guy. Own it. America is good. We're all good. I'm not a Trump guy. I'm not an anything guy. To me, being a Trump guy or a Biden guy or a Harris guy or a Democrat or a Republican, it doesn't make any sense. These are very flawed human beings, and you don't get to that level without a massive ego, probably first, before you're all about service. I don't care who you are. Obama, Bush the first, Clinton, Trump. It's all about your ego and your how far you can go. Like, you have to have that to be at that level. So no, I'm not a Trump guy. I'll say this. I'm center right, no doubt about it. And you could look at that as like, that means right. Okay, I'm center right. To me, this is what's important to me. I think less government intervention in my life. I think safety nets are good to a point, but I think we have gone way too far in the United States. I think the little old lady who needs my tax dollars should get it. I think the widow of the guy who went over and was killed in war or whatever, even just died at work, deserves my tax dollars for the period of time that she needs it until her kids are of a certain age where she can go out on her own and make money. I believe in some level of a social safety net at the low end, but I think we've gone so far in the United States, so much farther than we should. So that's where I say I identify center right. I'll give you this: pro-choice, pro-life. Man, I sit on that fence, and gladly. I'm on both sides of it. People could say you can't be, like, that's because you're down one side or the other American. I just don't sit there. I believe that it's a baby that you're killing, no matter what stage. I don't care about this clump of cells, all that. You're killing a baby. However, it is growing in your body, and I understand why you would say, hey, I have a choice on that. If it's up to me, I would say no. I think every life, and people put up the straw man of rape and incest, which happens, but very, very, very small percentage of aborted pregnancies are that. It hurts my heart and my brain when I hear ultra leftist women come out screaming about, like, even making jokes like, I'm going to get pregnant right now and kill it. Like, that is just disgusting to me. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should celebrate. And I know you're not probably going to go do that, but I think that's disgusting. So I sit on both sides of that fence. So that's where I say center right. I'm not over here going life is life, pro-life. You can't be pro-choice. No, I understand pro-choice. I certainly understand pro-life. Bill Burr did a great skit on this. He said, he goes, it wasn't a baby, so I could get rid of it. He's like, okay, if I made a cake and I put it in the oven, and 5 minutes after I take that to put that in the oven, you take it and you throw it across the floor. And I say, what the hell are you doing to my cake? And they go, that wasn't a cake yet. And he goes, well, yeah, it would have been if you didn't do what you just did to it. That is the perfect stand-up comedy analogy that I would use for how I feel about that specific topic. So, not a Trump guy. I don't believe in being a guy of any person. I think, to be honest with you, and this isn't Big Will, I'm not saying this to you, man, not at all, because I know that that's how we're organized politically in the United States. But I'll say this: I think that people who are Trump, people who are Biden, people who are right, people who are left, I think that's weak. Stand on the issue. Stand on what you believe. If it happens to align all with the right or all with the left, great. Just be that. You don't need to then stick yourself into a box of I'm left or I'm right. Drives me up a friggin' wall. It drives me up a wall at this point in my life. 47 years old, having been through some stuff. In my 30s, I probably would have been, I would have been a Republican for sure. So center right, I align with that. Not a Trump guy. I actively defy that. You all can believe what you want, but that's not who I am. That's not my identity at all. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm an expat or an immigrant now because I moved full time. Republicans are done in the United States, and canceling election is on their plate. If you thought they were focused on, they're both done, man. Like, honestly, like, Democrats are any better? They both suck. They all suck, all of them. So I think they're both done. We can celebrate one side or the other, but I think they're both ridiculous. If you take the emotion out of it, and you want me to analyze, what do I think? If the economy improves, and boy, that jobs report was way better than I was thinking it was going to be. 120,000 new jobs added. If the economy improves, maybe some rate cuts Q1, by the time we get to the midterms, Republicans are running away with this. not because they're better, but because the Democrats have failed to articulate anything that resembles a policy and what they would do other than not Trump. Mamdani won because he actually said what he's going to do. Do I believe what he's going to do is the best thing, the free this, free that? Again, I'm not a big government guy, so no, but totally get why he won. And kudos to him. He said, this is what I'm going to do in that debate when he said, Israel, I'm about New York. Brilliant, perfect line. And he seemed to really mean it. I think he did mean it. So I see why he won. They can discuss everything by Zoom. Yeah, that's just not how this stuff works, right? Because now you got recordings and leaked and all of that stuff. Like, that ain't happening. If you're talking about Hegseth and Abinadeh on this type of topic, again, guys, we're going to hear what they tell us, but there's some deep stuff happening behind closed doors. There's a documentary I just bought on Amazon called, I'm going to find it. It's a, like an alien documentary. Rubio's in it. And when you hear the conversations of some of the top, including Clapper, the former head of the Secret Service, the former head of the FBI, alien documentary, Amazon Prime. What was it called? It was called The Age of Disclosure. It's like 25. It was like $21 to rent it. I just bought it for $25. I watched half of it. I fell asleep because I wasn't feeling very good on Saturday. I had a massive headache for some reason. I think I got a little touch of that flu, but I got to go back and watch the rest of it. But like the beginning part, when I was able to see like these conversations that happen are like way beyond. I mean, we're talking about like, I know this is happening. Like, it's worse than that. Not worse, but like crazier than that. So that's why they get together in person. Crypto says, I think Maduro likes to troll a lot. Sure, he's got to. He's not even the guy that should be in power in Venezuela. Quick side story. I guess I realized recently, like I've always had a thing for Latinas, my wife being Dominican. When I was in 9th grade, the exchange student we had at our school in upstate New York was from Caracas. Sandra was her name. And I was just like, she asked me to the prom. She was a senior. I was a freshman. Not because I was like cool. She was a friend of my sister's, and I was probably the least threatening, like Google-eyed white dude who she knew like I would want nothing from, or not even want. I couldn't do anything. I was just a little 9th grader. So I've always had a thing for Latin American women. This is my relationship to Venezuela. That's my thoughts on it. Let's see. Let's hear. Most Latinos that hate Trump watch too much Univision, brainwashing. There is something to be said for we are shaped by the media, whether you're on the left or the right. We just get into our echo chamber and repeat it like, oh, so yeah, that's what I think. It is a little crazy. Venezuela aligning with BRICS is problematic for the U.S. Frank, see, there's people that, like, I've been on here an hour, right? Almost. Frank succinctly made an exact point. My take, if you're like, what's behind all this? It's not about the drugs. It's about China. It's about the BRICS nations. It's about the alignment in this hemisphere with China without any sort of, capitulation in the United States like Brazil does. That's my take. And then you've got, a guy in power that shouldn't be in power, all of that good stuff. Let's see what else we have. Let's see what we got here. Robert says, it's awful that the USA would pressure DR to do something. And if not, they would hurt DR. I'm saying like that could be. I don't know if that's what's happening. The USA always uses its power to do whatever it wants. Not good. Here's my take, guys, on this. Honestly, like somebody will. Like we have to be real. We have to be hip and realistic to how the world works. Communism and socialism are amazing ideas. The issue with both of them is in almost every case, somebody mentioned like Norway or whatever. Okay. Small nation, and they don't have really much incoming. It's just that nation, and they've got generationally a mindset of like trust and capitulation to the government there. So they have more of a socialist. They are a socialist, democratic socialist country. Completely get it. But outside of that one little example, or one or two small examples like that, human ambition is the grenade. It's the nuclear bomb on the concept of communism and socialism. I remember when I was a kid and socialism was explained to me by my father, and like the concepts of that, like, hey, everybody should have, be supported. There should be, entitlements in place. He didn't use those words, but everybody should get an equal slice of the pie. I'm like, what's wrong with that? It's fair. Then he said, okay, You and your sister are both tasked with doing house chores. Your sister does none. You do them all. I pay you both the equal amount. I was like, oh, that's BS. Became a capitalist that day. I just think that the idea that the United States using its power is not good. It's all a matter of whether or not you think out of the superpowers that could be, who could it be? US, China, maybe Russia. I don't know. You guys can list some other ones. Like whoever the superpower is going to flex their muscle on other countries. Who do you want it to be? Because that's the way the world works, right? So Robert, I completely agree with the premise of what you're saying. Any bully that's flexing their will on another entity, country, company, or whatever, it doesn't feel very good. But somebody's gonna. So who do you want it to be? I don't know. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, makes sense if that makes, just type makes sense. Like, you may not have to agree, but it makes sense at least. Like human ambition and the way humans work. We're not AI. We're not equal beings. We don't see the world that way. Makes it really hard for, well, hey, the US should just kind of stay here or whatever, because you stay here, somebody else comes in. You see what's happening. China's in Venezuela, and now you got this conflict, right? Like, I don't know. It's just my take. User OW. Unfortunately, Robert, that's the truth of geopolitics and international relations. Not much hope to improve it today. Yeah, it's really well put. Really well put. We got Raf coming back here. But DR is smaller and a unified cultural identity. So perhaps we can understand the positives of those systems. Just a thought throughout there. Raf, that's fair. If the counter to what I said about Norway would be that, right? Like it is a small country. It may be a country where there is sort of a dynamic in place where you could have a more of a socialized economy. I have my thoughts on that. I think one, again, in Norway, the other element is trust. Like I said, there's no trust of government or power here, no trust of police, none of that. So you'd have to bridge that. You'd have that major movement in bridging that. But anyway, that's kind of my deal. Crypto, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for jumping on. What else we got here? Papa Penguin. We're entering a multipolar world and exiting an era of superpowers. The world is going to be a lot more chaotic in the near future. Maybe. I still think there's going to be superpowers. I still think you're going to have 1, 2, maybe 3 at most superpowers. What is this, Raph? I only agree with Trump. He pushed for Rush Hour 4 with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. I would love to see that. I agree with you. I'm with him on that. I'm a Trump guy on that. I'm a populist. I don't know about that. We'll leave it there. Only sheep who are the majority fall for this cocaine and Maduro excuse for the U.S. to be harassing Maduro. Maybe. What do we got here? User, I understand where you're coming from, Gruber. You are well grounded with a pragmatic view of reality. Maybe I'm biased. Of course I'm biased. I said I'm center right. So look, I would say this. I think tariff policy ended up proving out to be the right move. Is it the right policy? I don't know. But I think when it happened, I was like, oh, that's going to destroy things. And it hasn't. There's been some turbulence, don't get me wrong. But looking at it now, I'm like, you know what? It actually was probably the thing that needed to happen. Maybe not the chaoticness of it or the 150 on you and 20 on you and pull it back here and all that. I mean, but tariff policy, I'm like, no, I'm with it. I actually agree with the idea of leveling the world in that regard, because there was anyway. So that could make me biased. Like I'm a right-leaning guy. That's a right-leaning practice. So am I just sort of like sucked into that as an idea? Maybe. I don't know. But I try to be pragmatic. Again, I give a lot of credit to life here. Like I've learned from people here, wow, you can actually talk. You should hear the discussions. People talk about Trump to Biden to Kamala, like those concepts here, people that are Dominican who spent time in the US. And it's like, that's all it is. It's talking points. It's not, you're awful, you're bad. Same thing when the presidential election happened here. People were out there celebrating that they voted with the little dot they had or whatever on their finger. I think my wife had. Like I couldn't vote. She did. First time voting in Dominican Republic. She was so proud of it. And so many people were proud of that. Not, well, only if you voted for, Fernandez or only if you voted for Abinader. Like that never happened. Never happened. And, whatever. But that was kind of an awakening for me. Like, wow, you don't have to be polarized. I know I have been. I don't stand above. I know I've stood on positions and like, no, but you're evil. I can tell you, look, if there's a group that I rail against in general, it's what people call today the woke left. Like we're talking like men should be able to be women and do it in school. Like do what you want to do. Again, stay out of it. If you want to be a woman dressed as a man, go for it. Keep it out of women's sports. Keep it out of school. Like, I'll sit against that fringe all day. All day. Like, if I had to carve out who I will never align with, it's that group and that sort of belief system. So that's my thoughts. Let's see. What is this? Jamie, these people are pushing you too hard to talk politics. You're just a gringo becoming Dominican. Maybe, man. I don't know. I'll never be Dominican. I'll never claim that. But my wife is, my kids are. And again, this is where we've decided to raise our family. So culturally, it just, I say this to people like, oh, you never say the bad things about DR. I'm like, look, guys, there's bad things about DR. There you go. There's plenty of bad. I've experienced some of the bad every day. I experience some of the marginal bad all the way up to the bad. Like I've shared on a recent video about having to almost spend the night in jail because of an accident, because the wrong accident was reported to the police. Like, oh, somebody died. What do you mean somebody died in our accident? They didn't look that bad. Well, they died. You have to spend the night. Next day, oops, sorry, wrong accident. The person that died was a different accident. Your guy's okay. He's getting treated in the hospital. Like, I was going to spend the night in jail. After that happened, my wife and I listed our house in Michigan, sold it, and bought here. It's not perfect, but it's perfect for us. So, Pedro, I appreciate you, man. Always appreciate you. Good to see you here. Let's see. Have you seen Filthy Rich? No, that whole Epstein thing, not the files, but like, I don't know, guys, like maybe since becoming a father, there was a movie on Netflix about Motley Crue. I remember turning it on. This is like 6-7 years ago. I was a newer dad, 3-year-old kid, maybe. And I remember turning it on and watching the first few minutes. And I think it was like Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue. Some of you are gonna be like, who the hell is Motley Crue? If you're my age, you know who they are. Like the child version of him, they were demonstrating like his upbringing. And it was like a mother who let in any man who would beat the kid. I had to turn it off. Like 5 years before, I could have watched it and ate popcorn, had pizza, no problem. Like, really interesting. But as a parent watching that, it was like all I could see was my son. And I was like, I can't watch that. It's the same with the Epstein stuff. And to be honest with you, even the Sosúa stuff, like I'm going to be honest. And if any of you are these folks, I don't mean anything against you. I'm just going to tell you my honest position on this. Sosúa, when they did the raid, and everybody that's, again, I'm not from there, but everybody that's up there that even like hates the fact that the raid happened, that is quote unquote, and I hate this phrase, chica friendly with their business. They even agree like that's the end of Sosúa as a sex business place, as for prostitution and everything. And then I saw people going on and like lamenting the work the government did up there, just, leaning on the idea that we all hate the government. Like, okay, cool. But you're pro like businesses being supported by the sex trade. That disgusts me to a level I can't even describe. There's a creator that, there's a business owner on the North Shore who makes some content, who has been very, what's the word? He challenges the fact that I exist very much. I'm not here long enough to know. I'm just a shill, like promoting my products. Got to be careful. I go up to these places in the middle of nowhere and say, this is the next big place. And all of you are just sheep. You're just going to be like, well, he said it's the next big place. I'm going to put my money down. And then he says the things I always say, but he doesn't acknowledge that I say, which is like, look, that's what I did. You can do it. If you do it and I have a relationship, yeah, I'm going to make some money off of that. Be clear. However, do your own due diligence. He says the same thing that I do, but he makes me come across as some sort of dirty internet grifter while simultaneously being a guy who allowed chicas. I love the phrase chica. Sounds so nice. The amount of human trafficking, the amount of minors, women, minors that are in that trade is so disgusting to me. Like the values, the value disparity that we have is so wide. So anyway, my point is, I can't watch the Epstein stuff, like the detail about it. I could see like the files, like what did Trump do? I want to know like who are the people that are just like, what's his name? Bannon was doing way too much with Epstein post 2008. I think Trump actually came out looking good in this comparatively, kicked him out. Epstein hated him. I think if there was dirt on Trump, Biden would have released it. There wasn't, obviously. And Trump looks like whatever in this. And there are some people on both sides that don't look very good. That look, what's the guy? The Larry something that was like, hey, how do I get my employee horizontal? Like People are disgusting. I can't watch that stuff. I couldn't watch the Nikki Sixx thing with beating the kid. And I cannot at all understand how anybody is lamenting the fact that Sosúa is going through an economic decline because they cleaned up the sex trade. Whether it moves somewhere else or not, it's immaterial. Like, rid the world of that. So many people, so many young ladies, so many women are hurt by that. If you're at all like, oh, I don't care if you bring one in, who am I to judge? Like, that's disgusting to me. So this stuff I just can't get into. But no, I haven't seen it, Johnny. Sorry, that's just my little rant on that. Let me get down to the bottom because I might be like missing out on some stuff. Here we go. There are countries where sex work is legal, but the high level of abuse of minors and the trafficking is dangerous. It's disgusting, man, Raph, right? Like, it's gross. I had a guy on my podcast, Tribe of Millionaires, when I was hosting that. What was his name? He was the number one funder and executive producer of The Sound of Freedom. The hell was his name? I feel like Henderson was last name, but that's not it. I'll find it. Sound of Freedom producer. It wasn't the guy that got in a ton of trouble. They all kind of got in some level of trouble. No, where is it? Sound of Freedom. Meaning, like, all of them had stories from their undercover work that felt like they might have stepped over the line a little bit. This dude, his name, oh man. Anyway, he was one of the characters in the movie. I couldn't watch that movie either, by the way. I couldn't watch it. One of those characters, lead character in the movie was him. This dude was like a rich dude, sold all his businesses and became like a vigilante anti-trafficker. And to hear some of the stories, and especially, like, I don't know if you guys know this, like, the number one producer and number one customer of human trafficking is the United States. It's like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, I can't, like, the sex work thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I haven't been really clear on that before. Like, just taking like, I've been like, hey, some people aren't liking what's happened. So I'm like, to me, you disgust me if you're at all okay with what happened in Sosúa. Even if it moves to another place, you should be disgusted with where it's taking place now. What do we got here? Yeah, Neatis. Epstein called Trump the quote, dog that hasn't barked, and says Trump spent hours at his house with one of the alleged sex trafficking victims. Janitas, yes, but there's also a ton of stuff out there about Trump expelling him pre-prosecution, about Trump not partaking in anything. He was there. I get it. I'm not saying he's clean. What I'm saying, though, is he didn't come out anywhere near as bad as some other people. You guys see Steve Bannon, that Larry guy? Somebody knows his name. Larry something. Larry Summers, was it? Is that right? Like, just I don't know if he's left or right. I honestly don't know. I know Bannon's far right, and it's like, that's a Trump ally. That looks bad on Trump. Like, his allegiance to Bannon, and Bannon's in there talking to this guy and having conversations. Some people called out Musk. Musk met him once at like a billionaire mixer. That I don't know why he was there. Not Musk, but Epstein. Like, this was post prosecution as well. And from what I saw, Epstein was pursuing Musk. So, like, some of the people that many want to look bad in this didn't. Some looked really, really bad. Really, really bad. And yes, this I agree with. And that's not because I'm a Trumper, but Larry Summers is on the left. Oh, is he on the left? Okay, I don't know. Trump derangement syndrome is absolutely real, 100%. So if Larry Summers is on the left, Bannon's on the right, both of them, gross, just gross. All that stuff with that, I can't even imagine. I hope at a younger age, if I was tempted by the wealth that these people had and what they were doing, that I would have stood on the good side of that. I believe I would have. I really do. But when we were all young, impressionable, we could have gotten tied up and stuff. But these guys are too old. Bannon and Summers and all of them are too old to be wrapped up in any of this stuff. Now there's a senator saying she saw the files and he's in there, and believe me, nothing good. I gotta, when we see it, if Trump's part of it, then he disgusts me just as much. But like, all of that is always going to be there, right? Like, oh, I saw it. Okay, well, release it. Let's see it. Let's see what he did. All the evidence so far hasn't stacked up to him being anything more than like around. TDS is fueled by the media and the left versus right nonsense, 100%. Both sides. Bannon said if they lose the next elections, they are all going to jail. Interesting. Headed to work. Keep up the great work, Jamie. Best wishes to DR moving forward. Yeah, appreciate you, Raph. I love, like, Raph and I have, we may kind of see the world in two different ways, but this is what I love, right? He's got that flag on there. Oh, is that the DR? I can't even see what flag. I thought that was the DR flag. I love that we can have a conversation about it, right? Let's see. We got Fox is trash. They all are trash. I like independent media. Who do I watch? I watch the Young Turks. I really like their perspective on most things. I watch Russell Brand, who's like center right, I would say. He's like libertarian. Sometimes I watch Ben Shapiro. Some of his perspectives are really interesting to me. I watched Charlie Kirk. I really liked Charlie Kirk's willingness to engage with others. I watch Bill Maher. I think Bill Maher, like, again, he takes positions. I love Rogan. Always have loved Rogan. Pre-election, I've always been a Rogan fan for two reasons. Podcaster, he was like my podcasting idol. Like, oh, I see how he does it. And then two, I love that he could just pick a position on something and say it. Paul Hutchinson. Thank you, E-Ray. That's the guy. Paul Hutchinson is who I had on the podcast. And this was years ago. So if something new came out about him, I don't know about it, but it was interesting to hear his perspective for 100%. Nick Fuentes. Talk about polarizing. Hey, bro, New Jersey, what's up? What do we got here? They act like they care for these victims, but now they want to make a thing of it. Epstein was arrested in 2018. It's all BS, and Trump isn't in on it. Well, some people are saying that he might be. We shall see. Now I see your point of views. Janietis, what are they? Tell me, what are my points of view? All right wingers. Mine is all right winger. I don't know how you got that out of it, but sure. Rogan redacted. All tin foilers are now welcome. They are much better than the mass media. Yeah. I don't know what redacted is. What is redacted? I watched what's the girl that did Kamala's interview? She's actually a really good interviewer. The Girl Show. The $100,000 set that Kamala set up in her hotel or whatever. All of that. I think this is where, like, again, I think we got to be really like, Hitler murdered people, murdered millions of people. Nick Fuentes has a polarizing viewpoint, but he's not in power. I don't honestly, I saw, I think Tucker Carlson interviewed him recently. Retracted. Is that the name of the podcast? I don't know. But I mean, this is where I think we get a little crazy, is the real Hitler and all that stuff. Like, there was one Hitler and he wasn't good. By any chance, have you been to Salcedo? I don't think so, Mr. Felix Castillo. I don't think so. Left versus right. What's the difference? People attack each other because of political views and automatically dismiss. Yeah, agree completely. Nobody is a Hitler. That's then stuff that has to stop. That's the stuff that has to stop. I completely agree. Calling each other the most barbaric, insane names, both sides. Again, Trump made me, like, comedically laugh, but like, that's the president of the United States. The way he talked about the Illinois governor being, a fat slob. I mean, it was like, you're the president of the state that he's in, and you're calling him that because he disagrees with you? Even if you're joking, man, like, let that be a hot mic moment. You don't say that stuff. Luis, maybe that'd be cool. Be on Rogan. I love how you always make something negative to positive. Man, I appreciate that. I don't know. I don't see me that way, but I appreciate that. If we can get an agreement to update our military equipment, especially our fighter aircraft, then I'm all for working with the U.S. in this conflict. Ellen, that might be one of the takeaways from Hegseth visiting here. We shall see. All right. We're an hour 13 into this. I'm going to let you go. Let's work on the real estate. Politics right now isn't good for right wingers. Politics isn't good for anybody, Jenny. I'm telling you right now, my prediction, the economy improves even a little bit in the next 3 to 6 months. I'm afraid it looks like you're a very left winger. My prediction is the right is going to take the midterms. It's not going to be good for the left. The last election, they were all blue states. There was this, like, maybe the red's going to take them over. Like, it was all blue states. So we shall see. DR has so much potential from Puerto Plata to Monte Cristi. There's what's the Punta Rusia highway going through there pretty soon too. That area is completely underfunded. Yeah, I don't disagree. Politics isn't good for the left. We got left, we got right. We're all Americans. Some of us are Dominicans. Some of you are Dominicans, but we're all Americans. I just think, man, I wish we could just disagree on the point and stay there without going nuts on one another as like evil or bad, or, well, you're over there, therefore you're this. Like, God, it's awful. It's awful. Here we go. Left versus right is bad either way. So anyway, Hegseth, he's in DR today. I'm going to keep an eye out to see if they do a press conference. I went through at the jump 5 things that the reasons why he's here, and 5 potential outcomes for DR to the benefit of the DR, like what the DR might ask for in exchange and maybe get in exchange for compliance with the U.S. agenda, for supporting the U.S. agenda with Venezuela. We shall see what happens. If you haven't done so already, please. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I just lost all of you guys. I got to get rid of this. If you haven't done so already, please. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's gone. There was a thing that said like and subscribe. Oh, right here. Like and subscribe, everybody. It's right here. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys being along with me here. I'll be back Friday for my regularly scheduled noon Eastern live. Appreciate all of you jumping on today. It was a really fun discussion. Really great back and forth. I appreciate that. So we shall see. We got progressives or lunatics. We still do the name calling. All right, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see y'all soon.